If my coworkers were honest when they asked me to cover their shifts, I would be so much more likely to do it. If they were like, look, I'm gonna get blackout drunk and fuck my ex tonight, can you please take my morning shift? Done. But I don't give a fuck about your food poisoning, Brittany. Figure it out.
So when I was in the 7th grade, we had a homeroom teacher that was the religion teacher to many of the grades. Everyone hated her and thought she was crazy because she had very peculiar story times. The school hated her so much they took away her ability to give warnings, because she would basically give them out for every single little thing that happened. And she would always bring her husband into work with her, yet she's not supposed to do that. But we just let it slide, honestly. So one day we're just sitting outside the classroom before class started. You know, just some little kids doing our own thing. And I used to curse a lot. So I was saying something to my friend, and I think in that sentence I used the word carajo, which, if you didn't know, that word means fuck in Spanish. And the teacher's classroom has little windows at the top so she could hear everything we said. So this old wrinkly ass fucking man came out of the classroom with a Kleenex wipe and said, "Who's talking shit so I can clean them up?" Anyways, we never saw him at school again.
So I was at this party last night with some friends, and this guy comes up to me and he says, "You're so beautiful, can I have your number?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Oh, playing hard to get." And I said, "No, I'm simply not interested in you." And he said, "Why can't you just be nice and give me your number?" And I said, "Why did I think of that? I changed my mind all of a sudden. Of course you can have my number. Let me put it in your phone for you." And he said, "Really?" I said, "Yes, but it might take a couple minutes because I'm a little drunk." And he said, "Take your time." Good thing I wasn't drunk because I was able to find his Venmo app right away. So I put my phone number in there, and suddenly I'm $5,000 richer. And I'm wondering, how on earth did that happen? Did I do that? Yes. I know I wasn't entitled to, and he definitely would have said no, but I took it anyway. I guess I just can't seem to take no for an answer.
I will never, and I mean never, forget the time that we had a male sub in high school and a girl asked to go to the restroom and he said sure. So she grabbed something and he heard a wrapper and he was like, "Oh, if you're gonna eat candy, you can do it in here, but you have to share with everyone in the class." And she was like, "What?" And he was like, "Well, I heard the wrapper." And she whips out a tampon, shoves it in his face, and she goes, "You want to share?" "Oh, girl, savage."
Crazy ass story time. 23 years ago, there was this mother of 2 children who just recently had a 3rd child. Soon after, the newborn baby was sleeping in the nursery while they were throwing a house party, and unfortunately, during the party, the house caught on fire. Everyone scrambles out of the house and they couldn't get to the baby, and then the cops concluded that the baby had died in the fire. But her other 2 kids made it out alive. And even though the cops told her that her baby had died, she refused to believe it. Many years later, the mother took her 2 children to a birthday party, and there was this other woman there with her child. And now the mother looks at that child and is in shock because she looks so much like her other 2 kids. She goes up to the little girl and says that she has bubble gum in her hair so that she can steal a few strands of her hair. She took it to a lab and they DNA tested it, and that little girl was her child. So it turns out many years ago during that house party, a woman that the mother knew went upstairs, took the baby, and started the fire so that the baby would be declared as dead and she could easily get away with kidnapping her. And then she ran from the cops and they can't find her.
When I used to work at Starbucks, this woman came up to the counter and asked for a decaf coffee. I made her the decaf coffee. She looked at the coffee and said that this isn't decaf. I said, "Ma'am, that is decaf coffee." She said she's highly allergic to caffeine. If she drinks it, she might die. I said, "Ma'am, I'll just remake it." She then took off the lid and threw the coffee at me. I looked at her dead in the eyes and said, "Ma'am, if you don't leave the store now, I'll call the police." She then proceeded to try and leave the counter. Another customer pulled her off. I then went home to change and then called my manager and said that I am quitting.
The difference between best friends and regular friends. If you fall as your friend, I will help you up and then I might, giggle or something. But as your best friend, if you fall, I am going to be crying laughing. And once I finish laughing, then I'll help you get up. Friends ask you to come over. Best friends just Hey, yo, I know you in there. Best friends can get away with a lot more than regular friends can. For instance, if I'm eating something and, I'm about to finish it and it's like the last bite and my best friend goes and it falls out my hand, I'm gonna laugh. But now if my friend does that, I might just kill you. With friends, you have to keep in contact with them. You have to talk to them pretty consistently to keep the friendship going. With your best friend, y'all can go like 3 months with no conversation and then start talking again, and it's like you never stop talking. And lastly, the way I work, I'm more mean to my best friend than anyone else because my meanness is how I show my love. So when I call my best friend and say, hey, yo, what up, stupid? He knows to respond, hey, yo, what up, dummy? Because that's just how we talk. Thank you for your time.
When girls walk around thinking they're so hot, it's just like, I am so glad you were able to overcome the patriarchal, institutionalized brainwash that makes women hate themselves from a young age in order to capitalize on their insecurities and keep them submissive.
Because you ladies do a thing as well, where you'll go out, maybe it's by yourself or maybe it's with your friends, you'll go out and you'll meet a guy and you don't really like him. You know what I mean? Like, maybe there's no connection, there's no chemistry, you guys just aren't clicking, I don't know what it is, but you don't really like him. So at the end of the night, he asks you for your number. And you give him your number, but you give him one number off. You give him one number wrong, okay? Maybe it's the first number, maybe it's the last number, it's just not your number. I know that because I've been that number. For a period of 6 months, there was some random woman out in the world giving strange men my number. And for a period of 6 months, I was receiving penises in my phone. It was terrible.
True story, why guys don't hit on women. So when I was about 21, I was like, Dad, nobody's hitting on me. Like, no guy asks me out. I don't know why. And he said, yeah, you kind of really look together. You walk in the joint, you look like you own the place. And everybody's probably like, you already got a boyfriend. I mean, that woman's already got everything she needs. So I was like, so what am I supposed to do? And he said, I think you need to be a little more slow in the approach. Look a guy in the eye. Like, drop the imaginary handkerchief. Just sort of like give him the hint that you're single. I'm like, so I just stare at him? And he said, no, you stare at him, you look away, you stare at him, you look away, and you smile, and you look away. Then I'll ask you out. What's the big deal? And it actually worked. I just had to practice giving the guy that look for just a little bit longer till it was uncomfortable, and he asked me out.
My daughter, Savannah, is the CEO of faking illness to get out of school. So when she does not feel like being there, she will go to the nurse's office and complain to them that she is really not feeling good so that they call me and I have to go get her. Well, one day after this happens, I walk into the administrative office and everybody is really concerned because Savannah is sitting in a chair like so dramatically like, hi, Mom. And like when I saw her, I burst out laughing. I was like, oh my God, are you okay? And everybody looked at me like I was some really bad mom. Like, oh my God, why aren't you more concerned? But as we were walking out, she was walking really slow and actually didn't look good. So even I was a little concerned. I was like, oh my God, honey, are you okay? Until we got to the car when Savannah looks at me and goes, you know what, Mom? I feel better now. And I was like, Savannah, are you serious? And she's like, Mom, do you maybe want to go to Starbucks and have like a girls' day? And I was like, honey, what kind of question is that? You know I do.
Hi, I moved down to Southern California about 5 years ago for school. And so I've met a bunch of people that are aspiring artists. And usually I would meet them at like clubs or school or something normal. But this one time, I was driving to Starbucks for some me time. And I had my windows down, music blasting. And I was listening to my Guilty Pleasures playlist, singing my whole heart out to Pony by Genuine. And I noticed that the guy in the car next to me has started yelling something at me. So I turned down the music, absolutely mortified. And he starts telling me that he's creating a mixtape and he wanted me to feature on it. And I'm just like, thank you, but no. And the lane he is in on my right is ending. So then he drives behind me and pulls into the left turn lane, essentially into oncoming traffic, so that he could give me his SoundCloud information. So I think now I'm ready for my solo career.
Storytimes, the one time I went out with my mom and there was a Dunkin' Donuts nearby, so I was like, you know what, I'm really feeling it. Normally I go to Starbucks because yes, but today I was like, let's try the Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
So we go in, right? And we order a caramel craze, but I forget to ask for decaf, so it ends up being caffeine. And I'm really feeling myself, so I decide to get a large, and I drink the entire thing, no problem. 3 hours later, when we get home, I am nauseous, my stomach is killing me, I have a huge headache. And later, I look up this drink, and can Dunkin' Donuts give you sickness? I don't know. And then it comes up that I could get salmonella from their creamer, from this specific drink. So I don't think I am going to have Dunkin' for a very long time because that was very traumatic. LOL.
Story time about how my best friend and I used to get away with hanging out with boys. So my friend and I's parents were really strict, which meant no hanging out with boys, not even if a parent was there. And we would always come up with these elaborate lies to do stuff that we weren't allowed to do. And we were in high school, so we really wanted to go hang out with one of our guy friends. So we came up with this plan where we would tell them that we were going to a football game because it was a Friday, and that an Uber was coming to pick us up. And there really was no Uber, it was actually just our guy friend coming to pick us up. But since my dad didn't let me go in Ubers, we had to go to my best friend's house. And her parents were fine with it because they loved me and thought that I was the most perfect child on earth. So we get in our Uber and we just go to his house and hang out the whole time. I literally don't even know how we got away with this because it was the same exact car every time and the same exact Uber driver every time.
My daughter Savannah is the CEO of faking illness to get out of school. So when she does not feel like being there, she will go to the nurse's office and complain to them that she is really not feeling good so that they call me and I have to go get her. Well, one day after this happens, I walk into the administrative office and everybody is really concerned because Savannah is sitting in a chair like so dramatically like, hi, Mom. And like when I saw her, I burst out laughing. I was like, oh my God, are you okay? And everybody looked at me like I was some really bad mom. Like, oh my God, why aren't you more concerned? But as we were walking out, she was walking really slow and actually didn't look good. So even I was a little concerned. I was like, oh my God, honey, are you okay? Until we got to the car when Savannah looks at me and goes, you know what, Mom? I feel better now. And I was like, Savannah, are you serious? And she's like, Mom, do you maybe want to go to Starbucks and have like a girls' day? And I was like, honey, what kind of question is that? You know I do.
What's wrong, sweetheart? Why are you so quiet? You think this guy you like is playing you, but you don't know for sure. Well, listen, back in the day, your father used to be a player, you know? I was getting it in. I probably know all his moves, too. I'm gonna give you some things to look for, and it's gonna help you out, okay? If y'all have been talking for a while, text him and be like, what are we? Every player hates that question because it's hard to dodge. If he says, I don't want to put a label on anything, or I'm not looking for anything serious, he ain't shit. If he's only hitting you up after 11:30, he ain't shit. If he snaps back quick when you in the shower or in front of a mirror, but any other time takes forever to respond, he ain't shit. If his name is Jordan, block him, he ain't shit. If he talks to you all day over the phone, but in school acts like you don't exist, he ain't shit. If he doesn't want to hang out in public places, that's because he got hoes and he doesn't want to be seen. He ain't shit. If he uses Drake lyrics for an Instagram caption, he definitely ain't shit. If he says, I've been really busy lately, don't believe him. He's been playing the game. Say it with me. He ain't
Story time on the time. I got scammed with this prom dress. So I knew it was coming up to...
Hope you guys liked this video and found it helpful. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. It does help support us, and let's know what videos you guys want to see.